Welcome to today's Explainer. If you're a focused learner gearing up for your NEET biology exams, or honestly, just someone fascinated by the incredible mechanics of plant life, you are in the exact right place. We're doing a high-yield, highly structured breakdown of one of the absolute most crucial topics in botany, double fertilization in angiosperms. We're going to map out the exact cellular voyage step by step, clear up some common misconceptions, and lock down those core concepts you absolutely need for your exams. Get ready, because this is a truly amazing biological story. So, let me hook you right off the bat here. What actually makes flowering plants, the angiosperms, completely unique in the biological world? It's not just their pretty petals or how they attract bees. It's actually a hidden, microscopic event happening deep inside the ovary. Unlike almost any other living organism, angiosperms undergo a dual-action mechanism to reproduce. It's this perfectly synchronized dance of cells that is an absolute marvel of evolution. And by the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly how it works.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll map out the embryo sac anatomy. Then, we'll track the pollen tube journey. Third, we'll hit Syngamy, the first fertilization. After that, we'll look at triple fusion, the triploid stage. And finally, we'll bring it all together in the double fertilization finale.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the embryo sac anatomy. Here is an absolutely crucial detail for your exams. The mature female gametophyte, or embryo sac, is famous for being this 7-celled, 8-nucleate structure. Let's do the biological math together on this, right? Up at the top, the chalazal end, we've got 3 antipodal cells. These guys mostly just provide nourishment and then degenerate later. Then, smack in the middle, taking up the most real estate, is one massive central cell. But look closely, it contains 2 polar nuclei. That right there is where our extra nucleus comes from. Finally, down at the bottom micropilar end, sits the egg apparatus. 2 synergid cells, kinda acting like bodyguards, flanking one single egg cell. So, 7 cells, 8 nuclei. Memorize this layout, because it's literally the foundational blueprint for everything that happens next.
Moving right along to Section 2, the pollen tube journey.
Now you might be wondering, what happens after a pollen grain actually lands on a receptive stigma? Well, it doesn't just, magically fall into the ovary. It has to grow this highly polar structure called a pollen tube. Think of it like a biological transport vehicle traversing all the way down the style. And riding inside this tube are our heroes of the story, 2 haploid male gametes or sperm cells. This tube is on a mission, navigating its way down, aiming dead center for the micropyle, which is that tiny little opening in the ovule at the bottom of our embryo sac.
Let's clearly break down this exact chronological sequence so you can easily lock this pathway into your memory. It kicks off with germination up on the stigma. Then comes the style transit, where the tube literally grows downward. Next up is the micropyle entry, where it finally enters the ovule. Then, the absolutely critical synergid entry. This is where the tube actually penetrates one of those 2 synergid cells we just talked about. And finally, the big moment, discharge, where the tube bursts to release those 2 male gametes.
Okay, pause right here because we are about to bust a really common textbook myth. For years, a lot of people assumed the pollen tube just punched right through the filiform apparatus. You know, that thickened finger-like structure at the tip of the synergid cells shown here in Zone 3? Well, the filiform apparatus absolutely does guide the pollen tube by secreting chemical attractants. It's like a beacon, but modern research shows us something surprisingly different about how the physical entry actually happens.
Check out this quote from recent research. The arriving pollen tube appears to grow beyond the filiform apparatus to enter the synergid cell at a more distant site where the tube bursts. So what does this all mean? Basically, fertilization is a 2-step dance here. First, recognition at the filiform apparatus, and then a physical bypass to a weaker point on the synergid cell wall for the actual entry and rupture. And when that tube bursts, it triggers the degeneration of that synergid cell. It's basically a necessary sacrifice to release those 2 male gametes right into the embryo sac.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, Syngamy, the first fertilization.
All right, so the first of our 2 male gametes makes its move toward the egg cell. Here's the biological math on this one. One haploid male gamete, let's call it N, fuses with a haploid egg cell, which is also N. This fusion is a generative fertilization, but you'll usually hear it called Syngamy. The grand result of this union? The creation of a zygote.
2N, diploid. The zygote is 2N. I want you to really emphasize this ploidy level in your notes. It's a critical takeaway. Haploid plus haploid equals diploid. This single diploid cell is literally the starting line for the brand new plant embryo.
Now, this is pretty standard sexual reproduction, right? We see this across so much of the biological world. But
That leads us right into section 4, triple fusion, the triploid. So remember that massive central cell with the two polar nuclei we talked about earlier? Well, our second male gamete travels right over there. And get this, it fuses with both of those polar nuclei. So you've got a male gamete, N, combining with polar nucleus 1, N, and polar nucleus 2, also N. Because this wild process involves combining 3 haploid nuclei, it's aptly named triple fusion. This forms what we call the primary endosperm nucleus, or PN for short.
3N, triploid. The primary endosperm nucleus is 3N. This is a highly unusual vegetative fertilization event. I mean, you do not see 3N structures every day in biology. It is a defining, super high-yield characteristic of angiosperm reproduction. And trust me, examiners absolutely love to test you on this.
Let's move to our final act, section 5, the double fertilization finale.
Let's clearly define the term that gives this entire process its name. Double fertilization is a unique occurrence of both syngamy and triple fusion happening at the exact same time within the exact same embryo sac. You've got 2 distinct fertilization events pulling from 2 separate male gametes out of a single pollen tube. This dual action mechanism is exactly what separates our flowering plants from gymnosperms and, well, the rest of the entire plant kingdom.
Now, as you'll see here, this is the ultimate comparison format, absolutely perfect for your exam prep. Let's contrast them. Process 1 is syngamy. The participating cells, the male gamete and the egg cell. The resulting cell is the zygote and its ploidy level is 2N. Process 2 is triple fusion. Participating cells here are the second male gamete and the 2 polar nuclei. The resulting cell is the primary endosperm nucleus and its ploidy level is 3N. Having this side by side makes it super structured and incredibly easy to recall.
But what actually happens next? What is the post-fertilization fate of these 2 creations? It's honestly beautifully synchronized. The 2N zygote undergoes cellular division to develop into the actual plant embryo, the baby plant, essentially. Meanwhile, that 3N primary endosperm nucleus develops into the endosperm. Now, the endosperm is a highly specialized nutritive tissue. It just stockpiles starches, lipids, and proteins. Its entire job in life is to act as a massive food supply to nourish that growing zygote. So the embryo gets to grow completely surrounded by its own customized food source.
And I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Think about the foods we rely on globally every single day: rice, wheat, corn. What we are actually eating when we consume these grains is largely the endosperm. Since the endosperm nourishes the embryo, and by extension literally nourishes us, how might variations or improvements in this triple fusion process dictate the future success of the world's most vital agricultural crops? Double fertilization isn't just some dry textbook fact. It is literally the fundamental biological engine that feeds humanity. Keep that in mind as you continue your studies. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy learning.
That's all for today, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching and take care.